So I've been having this conversation with a couple of my clients as it relates to prenups. Some women are for it, other women are a little bit skeptical about asking for a prenup or having the conversation. So I want to talk about it here. I specifically had this conversation yesterday, and a client said, I feel like a prenup is planning for a divorce or planning for the relationship to end. So I explained to her, I said, I see a prenup the same as car insurance, right? We all have car insurance, but we aren't planning to get in a car accident, or we're not planning to have to use our homeowner's insurance. You don't plan to use your flood insurance, but you have it because in the event something happens, everything is clear, right? You know, with your car insurance, if you got collision, if you got comprehension, you should know what your deductible is. So if you get in a car accident, you know everything is very clear on what it is that you should receive, how they're going to fix your car, but also what it is that you can expect out of pocket. And I believe that many women should be having conversations about prenups and also financial health. Now, this is not legal advice because I am a therapist. I am not an attorney. I'm also not a financial advisor, okay? So if you have any questions, I would encourage you to speak to an attorney and also to a financial advisor. But if you're new here, welcome to Heal Through These Sex. Here we discuss all things healing, self-love, and relationships. My name is Cynthia. I'm a licensed therapist and coach, and I want to talk about prenups today. I have quite a few women in the Healed Squad who are very successful, who are powerhouses, I would say, in their careers. And they have asked me, like, Cynthia, I am a woman of wealth, and how do I date? And the other thing is, I've had women who were like, Cynthia, I was the breadwinner in my previous marriage, and I, desire marriage again. I desire relationship again, but that previous marriage really took me through it. And I want to ensure that I am able to have an open and honest conversation about what it is that I believe related to finances, as it relates to debt. And if it should come to the place where we decide that this relationship is no longer, this marriage is no longer, I want some clarity there as well. So these are my thoughts. And I've said this to any woman who has mentioned a prenup to me. I believe that there's already a prenup in place, right? It's called the laws of your state or your country. That is your prenup, unless you have a document created before you get married, okay? And also, some of my Christian girlies really push back on it because they have thoughts about, will God be okay with me having this prenup or not? Again, there are divorce laws, but I will also encourage you to study scripture, because there is also, I believe it was Noah. No, I believe it was Moses. I'll have to find it for you, put it for you down below. But the women were given their dowry, right? So the dowry is given, but it was given to them. That way, in the event that something happened, they were able to take care of themselves. In my mind, that's a modern prenup. Okay. All right. So many of us were taught that true love means complete trust. That if two people are deeply in love, they shouldn't need contracts, boundaries, or contingency plans. But this is the truth here. If a man, right, especially a man of means, let's say Jeff Bezos, right? Let's say Jeff Bezos, because he recently got married. I believe Jeff Bezos has a prenup, okay? Nobody will bat an eye at a man of wealth. Nobody bats an eye at an NBA player, the soccer players, because we got the World Cup going on. Nobody would bat an eye at them for saying that they want a prenup, okay? There is a double standard between a man wanting a prenup and a woman wanting a prenup. When a man wants a prenup, it's like, yeah, high five, protect your wealth, protect your net worth, right? She may be a gold digger. She may be trying to just have a child with you in order to get access to your money. So yeah, protect your money, okay? When a woman asks for a prenup, it's like, well, you don't have trust? You don't love him, right? You should love him enough that you don't even need a prenup. Do you see the double standard there? Listen, I believe that prenups are necessary. Whether you can love a person, you can trust them, and you can still have a prenup. You can still have clarity for, if this should end, this is what this looks like. Okay. Now, let me say this as well. Prenups are not just for the rich. Okay? Because you may say, Cynthia, listen, I'm 20 years old. Do I need a prenup? I would say it depends on your circumstances. Did you get a substantial inheritance? Are you 20, 25 years old, but you've been working for a while, so you have substantial amount of money in your 401k? Did your parents set you up a brokerage account? Are you a trust fund baby? Those are things that I would consider, okay? But I want you to know that marriage is not just emotional, it's also legal, right? That's why you go and you get a marriage license, because this is also a spiritual, emotional, legal, and physical thing that you're doing. The moment you sign the marriage license, you are entering into a legal and financial partnership. And that's why I think some people say, marriage is a business, because this is a partnership between two people. Two people are making the decision to merge their lives together. The government recognizes it as a contract, whether you create the prenup or not. That's the part that people often miss, especially women. A prenup isn't deciding whether there will be a contract. The contract already exists. Whatever you're saying, if you plan on getting married, if you like, Cynthia, I'm a 2026 bride, I'm a 2027 bride, I want you to look at the divorce laws of the city, the divorce laws of the state or the country that you live in. I want you to look at the child support. I want you to look at, I know in Georgia, there's 13 reasons why you can't get a divorce. I just learned, I think in California, was it Ronald Reagan? I think I remember correctly. Ronald Reagan is the reason why we got no fault divorce, because he wanted a divorce. Okay. So there's no fault. I know in Georgia, there's no fault. There's infidelity. There's also, if the man is impotent, right? You can file for divorce. All right. So look at those things. And I'm not telling you to look at those things because I'm trying to burst your bubble, but I think that a part of marriage, we sometimes allow the fairy tale to sweep us in to a space, to a very vulnerable position. And so it's good to know, if this is going to go left, what does that look like? Okay. Again, I'm not advocating for marriage. I'm not saying that your relationship will fail. I'm just saying that knowledge is power. Okay. So let's talk about women. Let's talk about us, especially the professional girlies that are part of the Heal Squad. That you work hard to build a life before marriage. Maybe you own property, you may have your own home. And my Heal Squad member that I was talking to, Heal Squad Hadi, I was talking to yesterday, like she has her own home. You may have a business. So there's assets that you want to protect, or there's things that you may decide that, okay, if this ends in divorce, then it's very clear on what we came in with. So this is my business, that's his business. This is my home, that's his home. These are my accounts, those are his accounts. There are some of you that may believe and have the value that once we get married, everything becomes ours. And guess what? There's nothing wrong with that if that's how you want to live. But I'm a person that believes in choice, and I believe that we should pursue information as it relates to decisions that we are making, okay? Especially if they're going to have great impact. Maybe you spent years obtaining advanced degrees and building a career. A prenup is not necessarily about protecting you from your partner. It's about protecting what you spent years creating. And again, going back to the basketball players, the football players, or golf, right? Or soccer. It's like, you wasn't on the field, right? You wasn't on the court. You didn't shoot those threes. So you don't have access. You are entitled to that money. We have to look at how women are painted in media when a relationship is ending and she says that she wants spousal support or she wants child support, and how, it's not seen as fair because that money that he made, right? Because he was on the field, he was on the court, he was the attorney. Many people have an opinion about that. And I really believe that if you have some assets, if there's something that you have attained, there's nothing wrong with having a prenup. It doesn't mean that you're planning for the relationship to end, right? Protecting yourself doesn't make you cynical. It makes you responsible. You, as a single woman, you may be in your 50s. You may have worked very hard as it relates to securing your retirement. I've worked with women in their 50s and they're like, Cynthia, he came in my life. I loved him. I cared for him. But financially, we were on the same page. And because of that, when the relationship ended, I had to pull from my retirement or draw from my retirement. I had to give him my retirement. And it was very detrimental, you know, especially if you're 50, right? You don't have as much time to catch up because time is not on your side as we would assume in 30. Okay. We tell women to invest. I told you to get your FU money. We tell women to build wealth. But when a woman wants to protect those assets, suddenly she's accused of being unromantic, or she's accused of not trusting, or she's accused of not loving him. And that's very interesting to me, okay? That's a contradiction. A healthy marriage can still have a prenup, all right? One of the biggest myths is that prenups are only for wealthy people or people who don't trust each other, and that's just not true. In fact, sometimes the healthiest couples are the ones willing to have uncomfortable conversations before they get married. I'm going to do a video titled, I Don't Believe in Waiting for a Ring. So stay tuned, subscribe, set your notification bells because I'm going to be dropping some nuggets in there. But I believe healthy couples have uncomfortable conversations, and they have them early, and they have them when there needs to be had. I know that's not good English, but it is what it is right now, okay? And the reason why they have these uncomfortable conversations is because they value the relationship. You can't be in a relationship like la 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 la. You can't be avoidant in a healthy relationship. You're an adult and he's an adult. So you have to be willing to tackle those difficult conversations. That's how you're going to overcome adversity as it comes up in your relationship, okay? Prenups force discussions about money, debt, financial expectation, inheritance, future responsibilities. And many women, right? I did the video about being your own sprinkle, about making your own money. But many women have this belief or value that a man should bring money to the table, and it's his responsibility to take care of his family. And I don't disagree with that. Okay, I don't disagree with that. In that, I believe that if a man wants to be a husband and he wants to have a wife, that he should have a plan to take care of his wife and children. And the reason why I believe that is because if you are to have children, there are many things that can happen. That baby may need to be in the NICU. You may have complications as it relates to birth. You as a couple may decide for you to be a stay-at-home wife. And so I'm not coming against that belief or that value. All right, I want to put that out there. But what I do want you to do is start thinking about how can you maximize your life as an individual woman, period. You may be a cook, you may be good at baking, you may be a laundress. So you go around, you pick up people's clothing, take it to your home or take it to the laundromat, wash it, fold it, and deliver it. Whatever it is, I really believe that women should be having and accumulating assets. You may be a landlord. You may be into fashion and design. And so you have your own clothing line. You may have your own makeup line, whatever it is. But we have to begin to have really honest conversations about finances. Marriages dissolve. You know, many of them say irreconcilable differences, but the truth is intimacy and finances. And we have to have conversations about those two things specifically, very intentional conversations about it, because there's going to be ebbs and flows in these areas along with the other areas as it relates to a healthy relationship and marriage, okay? These are conversations that every couple should be having anyway. The document isn't the end all be all as it relates to the conversation, because you may have prenups, boom, prenup done, you get married, and now you are, something happens, someone gets sick. And so then has to be another financial conversation. I know for me, last year I was diagnosed with breast cancer. I'm cancer free now, just in case you're new. So sometimes when some people, they're like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. It's okay. We good over here. We're good. God kept us. And so that was a financial hit as it relates to my out-of-pocket deduction of $9,000 last year. Okay. But I'm grateful there's $9,000 because it could have been more. But this is just one conversation you'll have about finances. You always have to talk about finances. You guys may decide to have a nanny, have an au pair, take your kids go to private school. All of those things are financial conversations. You may have conversations about loaning someone money, investing the money as a couple. All of those are financial conversations, okay? This document is just a beginning point, all right? I've seen couples spend more time discussing wedding centerpieces than discussing financial values. You have to be clear on your financial values. Does he believe in debt? Do you not believe in debt? How does he spend his money versus you spending your money? Are you frugal and he's not, or is he frugal and you're not? You know what I'm saying? What financial sacrifices are expected of you in your marriage? A prenup is a part of a conversation, but it's not the whole conversation that you need to have as it relates to joining your life with another. Okay. The truth is that a prenup won't save a bad relationship, but the conversation surrounding one can reveal whether two people are aligned as it relates to finances. If you're going to get married, if you're going to have a healthy relationship, listen, let me even say this. It may not even be that you want to be married. Some of the Hill Squad members don't want to be married. But if you are going to move in with a man, or you guys are going to find a space that you're going to move into, you have to have a conversation about finances. Okay. And 50-50 is not just enough of a conversation, because 50-50 never is truly 50-50. And what I mean by that is, let's say my electricity bill is $100. His electricity bill is $125. Then together our electricity bill is $225. Your cost of living is going to increase. Okay. So this, again, a prenup is just the beginning. We have to be willing to have these financial conversations in our relationships and in our partnerships ultimately. Okay. So the real question isn't, do you think the relationship will fail? The real question is, what happens if life doesn't go according to plan? Because life is unpredictable. Life is unpredictable. We are living in a different economy than we were a couple of years ago. We are continuing, at least in the U.S., grocery prices are increasing, gas prices are increasing, mortgage prices are increasing, right? Life is increasing. And so you can plan, right? You can also have the best intentions. But one thing about it, two things for sure, life go life. Okay. Life is going to life. And so this is something that you want to plan for. You want to be strategic about. Okay. People get sick, businesses fail, families change, careers shift. People make sacrifices for one another. Good planning acknowledges reality without surrendering hope. You still could be hopeful. You could have a prenup and I'm only talking about financial stuff because I know somebody could be like, yeah, and put a cheating clause in there in case they cheat. I'm only talking about the financial aspect about it, okay? But do what you feel like you need to do, okay? All right. Even as it relates to child support, I have worked with some women who are like, Cynthia, he's supposed to pay this amount of child support and I don't receive it. I believe the average child support amount is like $400 and something a month. One of my coworkers has son is going to daycare and she's like, Cynthia, it's $1,300 a month. And if she is engaged to be married, but imagine you are a mom and you are only receiving $400 a month in child support. That means that you have to come up with $900 worth of child support in order for the child to be able to go to childcare so that you can be able to work. And a prenup is something that you can talk about childcare. You can talk about if this thing should not work out between the two of us, then we will set child support at this amount, or everything as it relates to child, we will divide it in half. Therefore, if daycare is $1,300, then we both will pay $650 for daycare. You can have conversations about that as well. You can fully stay married forever, right? While also recognizing that life is uncertain. Two things can exist at the same time. At the same time. What concerns me more than a prenup is a person who gets angry when you want clarity, or a person who doesn't want to be. There are many women who enter into marriages and relationships without transparency. Sometimes you don't require, and let me say it like this. Okay. Many of us were taught that, you're kind and pleasing and nice, and you go with the flow as it relates to a relationship. So you allow him to decide when you guys become exclusive, when you get engaged, when you're going to get married. You're not having these difficult conversations. You're not bringing everything to the table and discussing what is required, what it is that you need, want, expect, and desire. You're not doing that. Some of you are getting in relationships, or you have gotten in a relationship with a man and you allowed him to dictate your life. That is not partnership. That's not partnership. And so you as a woman should seek clarity, should want clarity, should desire clarity. You shouldn't enter into anything without being very clear on what it is that you're entering, especially since this is the most, outside of your relationship with God and yourself, this is the most intimate relationship you're going to be in. So enter it with clarity. Many of us have been, conditioned and shaped to value being a mother and being a wife over ourselves, over our purpose. So when we see the opportunity, we just hop on it. When truly, you should really, really, really be clear about what you are saying. I do too. I do too. Okay? If you're going to say I do, be clear about what you're saying. I do too. Okay? Listen, healthy relationships can survive hard conversations. If you bringing this up, or you breaking up something else that you value or need or want, and it threatens the strength of the relationship, then it's not a healthy relationship. It's not a healthy relationship. Okay. Healthy relationship can handle transparency. If discussing money threatens the relationship, the problem probably isn't the prenup. And let me say this as well, because one of my heel squat hotties said this to me. She said, I don't want to be seen as a gold digger. I said, okay. I said, where did you get that from? Why having a conversation about money equals you being a gold digger? Especially if this is somebody who you are going to be in a committed long-term relationship with. There should be clarity. You wanting to have conversation about income and about finances, about money, should not make you a gold digger. It means that you are an adult. It means that you are looking for a healthy relationship. It means that you are looking for clarity, and you deserve to have clarity in your relationship. Okay? So you can believe in forever while still protecting yourself, because marriage is just not about finding someone to love. It's about finding someone that you can live life with responsibly. Responsibly. You are responsible for one another. And responsible adults don't avoid difficult conversations. They have the conversations before they are necessary. If you want to have children, you have the conversation about childcare. You have the conversation about postpartum before you have children. You have the conversation about the number of children you want to have. And also the caveat is, if I have a hard pregnancy and I decide that after this one child, I no longer want to have any, will you be okay with that? Because there are some women that are sacrificing their lives and their physical well-being in order to have more children in a relationship. That's just something I threw out there. Okay. So that we're very clear. Another conversation you may have to have, I'm going to do a video about this, is about how you plan to evolve and how you will change as a woman. Because as we get older, as we have life experiences, we evolve and we change, and our partner should be there to root us on as we go for the desires of our heart. All right. This is Healed and Sexy. I want to continue this conversation below. Do you feel like it's a part of preparation? Do you feel like a prenup is a sign of distrust? I want to hear from you. I love you so much, especially those of you that watch my videos all the way to the end. Y'all the real MVPs, and I appreciate y'all. Talk to you later, all right?